Senator John Ossoff really just destroyed this Republican to his face. I've never seen someone lose their job in real time, but I think that's what happened from this line of questioning. It was truly awful. And also, Jared Moskowitz, the Democrats, I don't know what happened, but the Democrats have woken up. They have woken up. Jared Moskowitz, I actually don't even know how to prep you for this. You should just watch it. It's very, very good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's always good, like when we have something that's bipartisan, to point it out, because it happens so little around here anymore. But rather than giving like a really big, long speech, I feel like I could just use this, and this will tell you that I think it's good, right? So like that's a fist, American flag, fire. So I'll just, from now on, when we do things where like we agree, I'll just hold this up rather than giving like a really big, long speech. So job well done, guys.
Would the gentleman yield?
Oh, sure, I'll yield.
But I'm not sure everybody recognizes the reference there. Would you explain where that comes from?
Yeah, so this is how when we're in like a chat with friends, right, where we're like having a casual chat about like where we're dropping missiles.
Are you talking about a public chat room?
Yeah, but like, and with friends, and we're just like, you know, hamming about who we're gonna bomb and all of that. But we agree, we fist American flag fire. So I'm holding this up. I think we could just keep the committee shorter if like when we agree, we just hold this up.
No, I think you're supposed to have the flexed arm instead of the fist.
No, it was just, it was just the fist. What signal chat are you in?
But
I was on Twitter.
If the gentleman would yield for an additional question,
Sure.
But what happens if there are reporters who might be there for that?
Well, hopefully they support America and that it's fire.
So you're telling me we can't have a bipartisan conversation among members of the committee without a journalist being there?
Well, we can, but if you don't add them, if you don't want them to know.
And what if they just happen to show up somehow?
Well, that's because somebody added them.
So good. This is what we need to be doing. We need to be mocking these people. We need to be doing it in ways that get attention so that it's picked up not only here, but mainstream media, and there's clips centered on the internet. So very smart. And it just, the thing about mocking is it really just lay bare the absurdity of all of it. And sometimes I think we want to be outraged, but I think if we mock it, it has a way of knocking them down a peg. And I think that's really important in this Trump era where everyone feels larger than life. Okay, and then here is a clip from earlier today. Again, Democrats have woken up, y'all, where John Ossoff has a series of questions, and the way that it ends, the way that this clip ends, makes it. Imagine if you were receiving this statement from John Ossoff, Senator John Ossoff. It made my skin crawl, and I didn't even do anything wrong.
And would not information about the timing of airstrikes allow a military to pre-position or cue air defense systems to shoot down enemy aircraft?
I think, Senator, from our perspective, any advance warning is something that we certainly are trying to protect.
Yeah. Director Radcliffe, this was a huge mistake, correct?
No.
A national political...
Hold on.
No, you
Let me
hold
answer.
on. No, Director Radcliffe, I asked you a yes or no question, and now you'll hold on. A national political reporter
you can characterize it how you want.
Was made privy to sensitive information about imminent military operations against a foreign terrorist organization.
Mistake of adding a reporter,
and that wasn't a huge mistake. That wasn't a huge mistake.
Well, I think they characterize it as
an embarrassment. This is utterly unprofessional. There's been no apology. There has been no recognition of the gravity of this error. And by the way, we will get the full transcript of this chain, and your testimony will be measured carefully against its content. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the...
First off, how are you going to talk over a sitting U.S. senator who is questioning you? Secondly, this man in real time lost his job, saying that this was not a huge mistake. This was an absolutely huge mistake, and it's something that can never happen again. They have to stop using Signal. I don't think they will, but they should. It's just not. It's not secure. Politico just had this article come out saying it's so unbelievable. Cyber world stunned over war planners using Signal. And here's some quotes. I guess Signal is a few steps above leaving a copy of your war plan at the Chinese embassy, but it's far below the standards required for discussing any elements of a war plan. Someone else said, it's unbelievable. This is a White House official. It's so unbelievable. These guys all have traveling security details to set up secure communications for them wherever they are. And they choose instead to use a public app that can be hacked. Another person said, who also worked in the White House, said that their personal phones are all hackable. It's highly likely that foreign intelligence services are sitting on their phones watching them type this shit out. And someone else said, people can link Signal messaging to a desktop application, which I have Signal, I've done that. And that means that Signal data is being traveled and delivered to potentially multiple desktops and laptop computers where it isn't being stored in a phone's secure enclave. That data is then at risk from commodity malware on the system. In other words, that means that it can absolutely be hacked. A member of Congress, a ranking member of the House Homeland Security Ranking Committee, said, Benny Thompson, it should go without saying that administration officials should not be using Signal for discussing intelligence matters reserved for the Situation Room, not to mention doing so incompetently by including members of the public. Well, I mean, that is really putting it mildly, but yes. And someone else said, these individuals know the calamitous risk of transmitting classified information across unclassified systems. And they also know that if a lower ranking official under their command did what is described here, they would likely lose their clearance and be subject to criminal investigation. That's House Intelligence Committee ranking member Jim Hines saying that. So this is a huge mistake. Donald Trump commented on it just earlier. I'm going to be talking about that, and I also have a special guest on my live show. If you're watching this right now or in the next 3 hours, we'll be on at 7 p.m. Eastern, so wherever that is in your time zone. But 7 p.m. Eastern, I will be live talking about all this on another version of my live show, where we'll also have a guest who is running for Congress in Texas. Hope to see you there, and I'll see you next time.